We begin tonight with very sad news out of Sauk County. At 3:30 this afternoon, Weston High School principal John Klang passed away during surgery after being shot 3 times by a student.
And his family says they are deeply grateful for the outpouring of support from the community. NBC 15's Melissa Wallering joins us live from Cazenovia with the very latest. Melissa?
Becky, John, in less than an hour, Weston High School students would have been celebrating their homecoming. Instead, this school of about 110 was sent home after a 15-year-old opened fire shortly after 8 a.m. As students inside Weston High School started their morning with the Pledge of Allegiance, one of their own entered armed with a shotgun.
One of the teachers confronted him by the office, and when that happened, he said he was here to kill somebody.
Dave Thompson, a custodian of 23 years and a social studies teacher, were the only ones in the school's entrance when the freshman walked in.
How was he holding it? He had it like this.
Did he look like he was about to fire? Was he still walking when you encountered him?
No, he was standing, and then when the teacher asked him what he was doing with the gun in school, he basically stuck the gun barrel towards his face.
How close do you think he was to shooting?
I think he was going to do it.
Thompson grabbed the barrel of the gun, wrestled it away, and ran outside, but the student was concealing another handgun under his clothing.
Principal John Klang approached the student, who proceeded to display a handgun and shot 3 times, hitting the principal all 3 times.
Students heard the shots from inside their classrooms.
We ran to the back of the room, hiding behind tables and stuff. Teachers were out in the hall yelling.
The shooter was disarmed partially by the custodian and by other staff and students.
The shooter was pinned down and taken into custody by Sauk County Sheriff's deputies. Thompson says the shooter had disciplinary problems in the past, but never brought a gun to school. The suspect could be charged as soon as tomorrow with first-degree homicide. His name is not being released. If he is charged as an adult, his name would be released at that time.
It's very sad. I mean, it's incredibly sad. I felt like crying this morning, when I heard about it.
The sadness could be seen in the streets as crowds watched a Madison landmark burn.
We could see the black smoke pouring out, and then when we got up by the ramp up here, you could see the flames shooting out through the roof.
The fire started around 5:30 Monday morning. Crews from all over Madison doused water on the flames, but the fierce fire was enough to make the roof collapse, destroying the 150-year-old building. It also created a safety concern over a newly installed $1 million steeple that's over 100 feet tall.
Where the actual metal part begins, from that portion up, we were concerned about the structural integrity.
Contractors were called in to bring it down, but late this afternoon it was decided that the steeple is stable enough to stay. Now a main focus is dealing with the grief of this loss.
All of the baptisms and first communions and confirmations and weddings and funerals, it's untold numbers of folks throughout the history of Madison have literally have memories in that building.
And while the building may be crumbling down, St. Raphael's Monsignor is finding strength in his faith.
I keep looking at that cross on top of the steeple in the sunlight, and our faith is based not around buildings, it's based on one who rose, and so the theme of Easter is light comes out of darkness, and so faith gets us through.
Natalie Swaby, NBC 15 News.
NBC 15's Justin Williams brings our continuing coverage as he captures the shock at daybreak.
The morning after.
This is my first look at what's happened in daylight, and it's just devastating.
As one Pleasant Springs resident receives consolation from a Dane County Sheriff's deputy, Stoughton Mayor Helen Johnson surveys the scene.
Oh, just disaster. It's just a disaster zone. You look at a car that's just thrown up on it. It's unbelievable. The winds out here must have been terrible. How frightening.
Riley Cowan lives less than 1 mile away.
I'm thinking that we got it pretty good compared to these guys. Because all we got is a couple of trees down and branches broken. But these guys' whole houses are just wrecked.
The area has experienced severe storms in the past. The Barneveld tornado of a number of years ago that completely destroyed the village of Barneveld was obviously a very powerful storm. But this is as powerful a storm as I've seen.
To gain an appreciation of the discriminatory nature of these strong winds, you can take a look here at this golf ball sitting up in what many golfers would call a good lie. But then just 1.5 yards to 2 yards away, you can see a battery and debris, pieces of brick from the home thrust in with such force to the yard that they're able to rip up the turf here.
But if you look at these homes that new or old, families have lost their hopes and dreams, and so we hope that they can rebuild their lives.
Brick by brick. Justin Williams, NBC 15 News.
Lindsay Meyer looks like any other 17-year-old. She's a junior at Waunakee High School. Like other teens, school is the last place she wants to be, but her reasons are very different.
They just started calling me Earthquake like last year.
She is an expert at hiding it, but that horrible nickname, Earthquake, is due to severe tremors that cause every part of Lindsay's body to shake all the time.
I come home crying a lot because can't do stuff. I can't even eat, so I don't like to take lunch to school.
She can't have a job because her hands shake, and the relentless teasing forces Lindsay to withdraw.
I don't like to talk to friends. They're not. I don't know. I don't have that many.
I don't know what it's like to be her. I know what it's like to be her mom and watch her, and it's heartbreaking.
Heartbreak is something Lindsay's mom, Julie, is familiar with. Lindsay and her brother Bobby were born with galactosemia, a rare metabolic disorder.
And this is the kind of butter we can have.
Any food with a trace of dairy or lactose is terribly dangerous.
So they can't have it in their diet because instead of the body excreting it, it just stores it.
That can lead to things like tremors, mental retardation, liver failure, even death. Milk, cheese, and butter are off limits, but they never know where else it's hiding. Experts don't know if it's hidden lactose or the progression of the disease itself that causes Lindsay to suffer.
So we saw a lot of neurologists, a lot, and they all said like different things. We can try this, we can try that. We tried them all, and we just watched the tremor get worse.
That's why she is the first galactosemia patient to ever undergo brain surgery for tremors.
When she found out she could have the surgery, the depression went away because she had hope back. And when she got hope back, then her whole attitude changed.
Lindsay is having deep brain stimulation on the left side of her brain to adjust the tremor in her right hand, an operation usually performed on Parkinson's or MS patients. A team of doctors will put an electrode deep into part of her brain, all while Lindsay is awake.
This electrode's implanted into the thalamus and is left there, and then it's connected to an impulse generator that's implanted underneath the skin of the chest. And then it gives a little electrical impulses to that part of the thalamus.
Those impulses, given through a pacemaker, should control the tremors. And after healing for a few weeks, Lindsay will be given a remote control to turn the device up and down as needed.
When you see them shaking very, very badly and you turn on the stimulator and the tremor stops, it's very dramatic, very dramatic.
This would give her the ability to do things most of us take for granted. Drink without a straw, and write without wondering who might be looking over her shoulder.
Hopefully people won't be so mean.
And if it gives Lindsay hope, it finally gives her mom hope as well.
Buttoning, zipping, putting on your shoes, eating, drinking. I mean, those are all the things that Lindsay, and writing, that she could no longer do.
And one day soon, her classmates may be able to see the girl behind the tremors.
I think I'm a good person, and you should get to know me first, instead of just judging.
And NBC 15's Sarah Carlson joins us now with an update on Lindsay. Sarah, I understand she has had the surgery. So far, so good.
That's right. So far, no complications. The degree of the success of it will be determined in the weeks and months to come, but they're very confident. And I actually spoke to Julie, Lindsay's mom, and Lindsay is tired but in great spirits, so she's very hopeful. Yeah.
That is good to hear. Now, this was for her right hand, right, Sarah? What about her left hand?
Well, when I interviewed them a couple of weeks ago, they talked about being able to do the left hand if the right was successful. But Julie tells me that Lindsay was pretty nervous about having to be awake during this surgery. And so far, she thinks she'll be happy as long as it works for the right to kind of keep it that way.
So the disease is rare, but how can it be diagnosed if it's so dangerous?
Well, Wisconsin is one of the states that actually does the heel prick newborn test to diagnose for galactosemia, but there are other states that don't, and some speculate that that might account for some unexplained newborn deaths or health problems. However, here at UW-Madison, they're trying to do research and have been for about 20 years to figure out how to do more about this ahead of time.
That's such a great story.
A courageous young woman.
Absolutely.
We sure appreciate her taking the time to share her story. It's
and we do
very
hope to
important.
have an update for you, too.
Great.
We definitely
Thank
look
you very
forward to
much,
that.
Sarah.
Thanks.
Brady Sack hosting the contest this afternoon, and one woman was going for her 15th win. Photojournalist Dave Walker shows us the fun.
We're throwing cow chips, and it's become quite a festival here.
Came here just for see the throwing of the chips, man.
A cow chip is, well, it's manure. Crap that's dry.
Well, we used to call them pies.
The remainders of what a cow has eaten at the end of a day that they decide to poop out and just falls into a big pile, and they dry them so we can throw them.
Follow a cow around. Right down the line. You come in, you pick 2 chips.
This one looks nice. Pretty good weight. Good size, discus type. I'm looking for something smaller that I can get a good grip on.
Everybody gets 2 throws.
Well, I'm going to go overhand, so, my girlfriend suggested to jump and a leap.
I want to do the leap because I think that will give me a little bit extra, height.
Sometimes they hit the stands, and that's pretty funny, too, when the people watching get hit.
I'm going to duck behind this guy.
We like to live dangerously.
You're throwing a piece of manure, okay?
It's just hokey. It's a lot of good family, wholesome fun. It's something you can't get at a lot of festivals.
Some interesting aerodynamics on those cow pies.
It's a great event. I mean, people love it. It's just caught on. I mean, it's just a rural community.
It's unique. Where else can you throw a cow chip? You can't do that in New York City.
No, you can't. All right, tonight at 10, we'll follow 2 contestants, both of whom hold state titles for throwing the chips.
Very good line.
Nina Spatola was getting good a long time ago. Now, the 17-year-old curler from McFarland is nearly world class.
That's perfect.
This high school senior has been curling since she was 10 and says she knew she wanted to compete in the Olympics the day she first curled a stone.
I knew it ever since I first started. I was like, I'm going to the Olympics. Right after my first lesson, I was going to be a piece of cake.
Nina started curling at about the same time the sport became an Olympic event during the 1998 Nagano Games.
Still made the shot.
Her former coach, Steve Brown, says that Olympic upgrade gave the sport a much-needed boost.
In the past, a lot of people kind of made fun of it, and it was a sport for older people or non-athletic people. All of a sudden, with medal status, it gave us a credibility that we never had in the sport.
And that credibility helped attract promising young stars like Nina Spatola.
Can I throw another draw?
And Brown, who still helps Spatola train, says watching an athlete like her perform is a testament to how tough curling can be.
You can take anybody out there on the ice and they think that can't be that hard. And you put this Teflon slider or shoe on their bottom of their foot, and pretty soon they're on their butt thinking, how in the hell do you do that?
Put the broom straight flat on the ice.
All right, now this is something I've got to try. And who better for a teacher than an Olympic hopeful?
Yep. And then push out. Yay!
So yes, it is a tough sport. And Spatola says it's something she couldn't live without.
In the summer when I can't curl, it's like I'm missing a part of my life, so I just love it.
When the season finally does roll around every fall, Spatola can be found at the rink 7 days a week, 2 hours a day. Her mom says that type of commitment can be tough on a teenager's personal life. But Nina says, with all the friends she's made curling, she doesn't feel like she's missing a thing.
Curling's also a family in itself, so I get closer relationships than I would even in school and stuff like that.
And she gets a shot at doing something most of her friends can only dream about: win a gold medal in the Olympic Games.
And she trusts what she's doing. She trusts her family, that they're giving the right guidance, and she trusts the coaching and the program that we're on, and I think she will be on the gold medal stand someday.